Hey guys, so I'm making a real quick video just to help you with this assignment today. So throughout this week, we've been reading about conformity and peer pressure, the general, idea, what is it, the positives, the negatives. So the work you've done so far is really going to set you up for the assignment today. So the big thing is that you are choosing, you have options here. You're choosing whether you work on an outline, you do an outline, which would be slides 2 and 3, or whether you just write an essay. So that's totally up to you. You do not have to do both. So I think the outline is kind of helpful because it kind of takes you through it step by step. But if you are the type of person where you'd rather just jump in and start, doing things for yourself, feel free. I'm going to be talking mostly about the outline. It's really important that you don't just kind of like start filling this out blindly. I do have the links to the articles here, but it's really important that you have your classroom work pulled up because you've already done so much of the work you'll need to fill this outline out. So I'm just going to kind of go through. So the first step is to just introduce the topic. So obviously, when we introduce a topic, you're not going to get into your opinion yet. This is just a one sentence, or it can be more if you want it to be, where you're just talking about the topic of conformity or peer pressure and what it is in general. You could say something like, many people can relate to the pressure to conform, or almost everyone has experienced peer pressure at some point in their lives, something like that. And then you're giving me your claim. So this can be the exact same thing you've typed on yesterday's assignment. I just need one sentence. You could say conformity is a negative behavior, or peer pressure is more positive than it is negative, something like that. What's your opinion? And then you're giving me a reason. So why do you feel this way? So what I would suggest doing is, although evidence is down here, I would look at your evidence from yesterday. You made this little chart here. You have 2 different sources. I would maybe just pick one of the pieces of evidence. You've already told me how it supports your claim. So, you're going to copy and paste a piece of evidence. And if your evidence talks about like the driving aspect of it, then your reason is going to be, when it comes to situations like driving, conformity can have a, right? And that can kind of help you form a reason. But that's just a very specific example. So you already have your evidence, you already have your claim. And then when it comes to reasoning, so you've already kind of done that too. So on yesterday's assignment, when you put each of the 2 quotes, you also told me how it supports your claim. So that can be your reasoning. How does it support your claim? How does this evidence support your claim, right? So I would like you to have at least 2 sentences for that. But that is the first one. So the second one here, I think it'll get a little bit more tricky, but it doesn't have to be. So the first thing it asks you to do is state an idea from one of the 3 articles that you disagree with or feel could be misleading. So some might claim that is a good way to start the sentence. You already have this. So from yesterday's assignment, when I asked you down here, explain something you disagree with from one of the 3 articles. And be sure to state which one you're referring to. So you might be able just to copy and paste that in here. If you're like, I don't really disagree with anything, that's okay. What is something that you think could be maybe misleading, right? So if you're kind of in the middle and you're like, well, I feel like it's sort of positive, but it's also negative. What do you think, like in terms of your first claim, right? If you're claiming that it is more positive, what's something that's included in one of the 3 articles? So if you're claiming it's positive, I would look in the negative article for something that you feel is misleading. What's like an idea, right? So you could say your counterclaim could even just be, if you're really having trouble, it could just be, some might claim that peer pressure can lead to negative behaviors like blah, 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 right? Or some people might claim that conformity is positive because something that you're just like, maybe, but let's like take a deeper look at this. So that's what you're doing in your rebuttal. So I asked you to tell me something you disagree with and to explain. So you might be able to have, like, some people might claim that blank, you have, this idea that you disagree with, you might be able to use the rest of what you said as your rebuttal, right? Like, however, like, explaining what's like, why is that an incorrect, or why is that like misleading? What's the problem with this, right? Why do you disagree with it? Like, what's the issue? And then it says a direct quote from one of the 3 articles, state which one, that supports your rebuttal. So when you're explaining what's like the faults in, the other side's idea, which is the counterclaim, you're going to want to support what you have to say, right? So like if you're saying, it's a dangerous assumption to say that teenagers are blah, 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 because blank. Evidence from the reading right? You would want to look for that, or maybe you already have it in your chart. You want to support like your rebuttal so that you can really prove that their side is a little misleading or incorrect, right? So in your reasoning, you're explaining how does the evidence you just put here help support the fact that this argument's not super strong or this idea is a little misleading, right? So you're helping to kind of like solidify why this evidence proves the other side weak and also strengthens yours. And then your concluding statement. So you can use words like overall or in conclusion, things like that. So hopefully this helps. Obviously, I have office hours today. Feel free to hop on if you have any questions. But other than that, have a great day and stay safe.